Why would I want to come on your police department if I don't see anybody that's wearing the chevrons or the bars or the eagles or whatever the department has that look like me, you know? Or how can you understand my culture if you have not lived in my shoes?
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Black and Blue Podcast. I appreciate all of you for joining me for this episode here. I like to have a lot of people on the show, whether they're male, female, black, white, Asian, what have you. That's what Black and Blue is about, diversity in law enforcement. Today, I've got a retired captain from the Metro DC Police Department. She served 27 years there. 27 years, that's right. Everybody, please help me welcome in Pamela Burkett-Jones. How you doing, ma'am?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Excellent.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. So how's things going on out there?
Everything's wonderful, of course, with all that's going on, and, with the two pandemics that's going, it's kind of like uncomfortable, just probably like it's all over the country and the world as we see. But everything, maintaining and holding steady and haven't been sick. But I feel for my brothers and sisters in blue of all, the emotions that are going on right now with them, whether, some of them are feeling, I've talked to quite a few of them. And of course, I stay connected with them on social media, and things just are not looking bright for them right now as far as their career choice and the way they're being treated. So I really, pray and keep them uplifted as much as I can.
Yeah, so we're talking about in particular, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure we all kind of gathered the defunding the police movement and all that's going on after the aftermath of the George Floyd case. So that's what we're talking about, a lot of negativity with police going on right now. Atlanta went down last week or so. Now those two officers were charged. So a lot of stuff going on with law enforcement right now. It's really, really troubling. And, hopefully we'll get through it unscathed as much as we can. But, it's really trying right now. Definitely. So you did 27 years all with Metro DC. How'd you like that? What was that career like for you?
It was great. With DC, Washington, D.C. is a diverse city. At the time I came on, the city was all black, a little bit percentage of white in the city. And then as it changed, the demographics changed throughout my years. But however, what I loved about the Metropolitan Police Department was you can actually get around. You can move like on certain departments where you can only be in patrol, and it took a while for the investigative unit or any other units, the horse mounting, whatever you could think of, special operation. It took a while to get into those units, but with DC, you could kind of diversify your career a little bit more. You move around. So it allowed me to really do a lot of different things, and everything that I came on the department to do, I was able to do it. I came on to be an investigator, and I pretty much did that for 20 years of my career.
Nice.
As detective, sergeant, lieutenant, and, a captain. It was a little bit different, but I really got into different units and homicide, sexual assaults, child abuse, sexual child abuse, physical child abuse. I mean, you name it. It was nothing that I didn't investigate it besides probably financial crimes. That was the only thing. But everything that somebody commit and we could do an investigation with, I was part of it. And I was able to even come to a point where I did a promotion process. So I was actually the go-to person to actually do the promotion process as far as getting the test together, the subject expert witness, subject expert matter person. And I went through that process. And of course, then they had me to go back and train. So I did a lot of time over in the training investigation. So out of whole, I want to say I trained at least 100 investigators to be detective. And some of those guys now are homicide detectives, they're officials and sergeants and everything else. So I did do a full gamut in my career.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. How long ago did you retire?
Right now it's 2.5 years ago now. I've been retired.
Okay. What was you said you were an investigator for, a long period of your career. What was your favorite assignment as an investigator?
Sexual assault. Sexual assault was my favorite assignment. I was a sexual assault detective, sexual assault sergeant, and lieutenant as well. And I ran that unit and the sexual assault unit for Washington, D.C. for at least, I want to say I did it for 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough assignment. That and child crimes.
Yes.
Those are tough assignments, but they need someone to advocate for them. And that's what those detectives do. So appreciate that. I'm sure the citizens of DC, they appreciated that.
Yes.
Definitely.
And I enjoyed it doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you left, how large was the police department there? How many sworn?
When I left, it was 4,100. 4,100. They were 38 for a long time. And then I think they went up to try to get to 4,200. And then after a while, they started getting people because the turnaround rate was that you had people just going in, college student, because with DC, you have to have 60 college credits. So it kind of knocked a lot of people out of being able to go on. So a lot of college students, they would come on, get the experience because, of course, in Washington, D.C., you got Capitol Police, you have so many other different things. You got Secret Service, FBI. It's just a whole lot of different jurisdictions, Park Police there. So some will come over, get the experience, and then they will move on to where they want. And it's, of course, some will come from the military and they will bring their experience there, get a few, and then they will go back home to where they came from. And it was, of course, if you're in Idaho somewhere and they hear that you came from a major city police department, hey, we want you, we want you to come on back. You got all that experience. That's less training that we have to do because, of course, DC deal with protests, they deal with, presidential. We work with the presidential. We deal with holidays, 4th of July, everything else. So you get a lot of experience being in a major city department, and especially in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, no doubt. And you said for a while, D.C. was, largely black. What about the department when you left? How was the diversity there?
The department when I left, it dwindled. The numbers went down. It became mostly white when I left. And then the chain of command, of course, is mostly white. When you did the promotion list, a lot of the white male was at the top of the list. And not a lot of the blacks were making, either they didn't make the cut or when they made the list, they were at the bottom. So that was a big problem at that time. And even when we got to the investigators list, that changed as well. That started to change a lot. You saw a lot more color start to dwindle down, and it was not equal at all.
Yeah. So that turned into some sort of passion for you?
Yeah, it sure did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, what happened was when I started, I went for captain, and matter of fact, I had to go for captain like 3 times. I would, Charles Ramsey, he was our chief. And what happened was an election year came. I was actually number 2 to be promoted on the list. And election time came. We got a new mayor, and Charles Ramsey actually left because the mayor wanted Kathy Lanier. So Kathy Lanier decided that she wanted to do a new list. So I died number 2 on that list. The next list, I ended up not doing so well, but I always made the cut. I always knew I was a good test taker, was at the top. When it came to taking the test, I was at the top of the list after the cut. But when the assessment came through, I didn't make so much at the top of the list. I fell down a little bit. And what happened was when I was called in to do the investigator process, boom, the light bulb came on. And I really learned that process in and out. And like, oh, so this is how you really do it. So when it was time for me to take the test the next time, I was able to make the top of the list, and I made #1 captain at that time. And so it basically put, a new thing. And I was like, well, you know what? I want to be able to help a lot of people who are struggling making that cut, because like I said, the testing, doing the written part was no problem. I always could do that. But the assessment, so once I learned assessment, I was able to do that. And then when I retired, I did an assessment class, and I ended up getting some good, candidates. Some guys make #2, and half of my people that I've helped, they're promoted now, and they were
Nice.
all of, color, of,
Yeah.
of black.
Is that
Black.
something? Yeah. Is that just something you do on the side to help out, people that you knew over there, or you kind of like contracting out and helping people with different departments?
Yeah, I'm contracting out now. That's what I went into business to do now. I'm actually helping people with career strategy changes. Once they decide that, hey, I want to retire, or hey, this is just not for me anymore, or I want to do something else. I help them with that, get their mind, just coach them along with that. And hey, let's see what you can do. What other skills you have, transferable skills, because I also did an administrator, and I actually have 2 masters. I have one in security management and the other one in human resources. So I'm doing a lot of the career strategy. And then my second piece of it is I'm working with them through leadership coaching and in the promotional process. And I work with them from the beginning. And actually, I love it now because I got 2 Hispanic clients that came on, and they haven't even announced the test yet, but they came on early because they're trying to actually also make it as well and come on up the list. So and I know as soon as the test is announced, I'll have a lot more people who want to come on, but because they understand my history and they know where I came from. So that's become a passion for me to help and also encourage them. Hey, encourage other officers, that are a minority, take the test. Try it, study for it, put your all in all, because it helps you out in the long run. Because eventually, your most departments, I know with DC, your percentage of your salary, your last 3 salaries, is factored into your retirement. So that means if the further you go up, that's the more salary you have. And versus, you staying as officer or as a sergeant. And other people say, oh, I'm more comfortable, or I feel, I don't want to supervise anybody. I don't want to, but then you allow someone to supervise you where, you can run circles around it. You could do their job. So you got 15 years on, and your sergeant or your lieutenant has 7, and the job in and out. You can do this thing. So don't fall back and don't feel comfortable, because it helps your family in the long run and also helps you in the long run. So I try to encourage my brothers and sisters in blue to, go ahead on and take that test. And then, of course, I've worked with another agency where I live, where is actually the demographics of the citizens are African American or another color, but their police department is not matching what the citizens are. So why would you want to try to recruit minorities if they don't see anyone in the ranking field that looks like them? So why would I want to come on your police department if I don't see anybody that's wearing the chevrons or the bars or the eagles or whatever the department has that look like me?
Right.
Or how can you understand my culture if you have not lived in my shoes?
Yep.
So, and that's something I think with I don't know if it's media or, the betrays, but I'm also a professor at a college, and a lot of my students are a color. I have students of colors, and I have classes at school. I'm going to be starting a criminal law class in a couple of weeks. I have 18 students in that class. So that's telling me that everybody's not shying away from criminal justice or law enforcement. There's a breakdown somewhere in the system. They're going to get those degrees, or they're taking classes to get those degrees. So, but I think what happens is when they start really looking at the makeup of some departments and they look at the officials, they kind of shy away and they don't see a lot of um, people of color,
Right.
being supervisor, or they see no potential of what I can do besides go and run calls or whatever else.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes down to mentorship within the department. Was there? It sounds like there wasn't much of that for you when you were there working full time. Was there any mentorship?
Not
Anyone
at
kind of
all.
pulling you along?
No, not at
No.
all. Not at all. And when I first came on, you had the old school, as we call them, the old school guys.
Mm-hmm.
You had someone that they're getting ready to walk out, but they were more of it. But when the generation changed as the supervisor and the people who could mentor to, I always say to the Gen Xers, which is us, and the Y came a little later. Everybody was just worrying about themselves. Nobody wanted to, pull anybody along. I saw that more when I was a young officer with the older gentlemen and ladies. They did that. But no, I didn't know there was none there.
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. So then that's why you try to break that cycle and do a little bit of it yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
commend you on that. You said you've got a couple masters. Do you kind of help people along and let them know that you got to get your education? Just the 60 units isn't enough. You really, if you want to be competitive, you need to go get that bachelor's. Go ahead, get that master's. Go get that PhD if need be.
I sure do. I actually have a client that I work with leadership that's on right now. And basically, when they start coaching, and I was like, if you want to move past, and that person's a captain, they've moved up now. But if you want to actually go when you're in the rank and file as far as the command staff, go get your degree and make sure you just patch yourself up so that your portfolio and you're right. And of course, it's going to help you leave the department with the education and plus the training and everything else. And I had one person who actually put that in, and one of the old school guys that did that as far as with me. And one of his advice that I always say that was the best advice I ever got being on the police department. He set me and said, every 2.5 years, do something different. Never
Okay.
stay in, like when I was in investigations, he actually pulled me in down. He said, okay, now you're doing property crimes and you're doing major assaults, but we want you to go over to, and that's how I ended up getting over to child abuse, sexual child abuse, because he's like, you were a sexual abuse investigator. Now they need a sexual abuse sergeant to go over and help and teach and train the new investigators come in. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to. I kind of like, I'm comfortable. I like, going to the shootings or going to the robberies and everything and supervising over here. And he was like, no, this is what you do. Every 2.5 years, you pick up and go somewhere else. Never get comfortable. And that was the best advice I gave. It was given because each time I moved, each time I got to that 2.5, 2 year mark, I was looking for my next.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I liked it, even if I liked my people, I was always looking for my next to go to somewhere else. And what it did was it just stacked me up for more. And that's why they called me in to do the subject expert, which eventually got me over to really catapult higher on that list and get past the assessment, because now you got all this skill we want, and then it showed me to learn the process. So it was even a bigger picture of me doing that 2.5 years than just saying. And now, even when I put my resume out there to other people, when I was actually job hunting before I retired, they saw my resume and was like, wow, you did this and you did that,
Mm-hmm.
you did this. And they just couldn't believe it, versus that, hey, you got that patrol officer, you were sworn officer. But when you dig down and start looking at the things that I've able to accomplish, it was because of that advice I was given just to move around 2.5 years.
No
Every
doubt.
2.5.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're kind of focusing on promotion, but do you do much of people trying to get in law enforcement? I know we're trying to recruit more minorities into the profession. Do you see a lot of prospective clients coming in to say, I want to be a police officer? How do I get there?
No, the only time I have not looked into that yet or really focused, zoned in on that piece yet. And it's something really, I think, with the police reform that probably could come out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that they should be talking about. I know they keep talking about training, but they need to do something else to try to get more minorities attracted to the positions. I do get a lot of my students after class may come up and ask me those questions
Mm-hmm.
about, can I do this or that? Can I do that? But no, I have not really. And I give them advice and I tell them what to do. And I may say, okay, you want to, look at this department, look at that. And, but I don't really do that part, do anything past that.
Yeah. Okay. Making sure that the nowadays you're not saying, "Hey, maybe you want to go do something else."
No, I
Yeah.
don't. I
Okay.
always just my thing I do always say, and I say this now to, and I want to say this as well to the brothers and sisters that are in blue and they're going through these trying times. I do always tell them, remember your why. And that's important. Why do you want to be a police officer? Do you want to say, oh, they have a good pension at the end? I hear my uncle who retired from the police department and
Mm-hmm.
now he's living like a fat rat and he can. If that's your why to come on, no, don't do it. But I don't tell them. I said just remember your why. So I don't ask them what their why is. I just say you remember your why. Now, if someone wants to have a conversation and talk about their why, we can talk about it, but your why is you, is which is your decision and is up to you. But let it be some reason that you want to come on that will make sense and not something that really is far-fetched of what you think. Oh, I want to come on because I hear they get free coffee at 7-Eleven or at the convenience shop, or
Yeah.
they get discounts with
Mm-hmm.
coming in when they go into certain agencies. No, we're not. Those are not good whys. Now, if you want to help people, if you want to make a difference, you know, if you want to, and those are some really, really good whys. Those examples, but the whys, can vary.
Yeah, that's what the public at large needs to hear that because with all this going on nowadays, they need to know that 99.9% of us. That's why we're here. We want to help
Mm-hmm.
people, so
Mm-hmm.
they just got to realize that, and at some point they will. Like I said earlier, we'll get through this. Right now, it's just a real tumultuous time, and
Mm-hmm.
things will die down, and we'll all realize what each of us has to bring to the table, and we'll get there. We'll definitely
Yes.
get there.
Yes.
Um, you being a female in this male-dominated profession, how was that experience for you in your long career?
You know what? It was kind of tough. It was tough. Needless to say, you kind of got it on all ends for, as a female. And unfortunately, and, I have to be transparent and be truthful. You got it on your peers, and you got it from your supervisors, and you got it from the streets too. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I know when I first came on, I was at what was the first district, and with the first district, it was a great district because you had everything. You had the hood. You had areas where crime was very high. I'll say it like that. And then you had areas where residential areas where it was not so it was just a medium. The crime wasn't bad, and then we had downtown areas. So that area where I first started covered where the Capitol is, and it also covered areas where low income housing were,
Mm-hmm.
and it also covered areas where people were paid like back they pay $1 million. Now those houses are worth $1 million, but back then they were still worth great. So you had um different areas. Then you had areas where your senators live. So of course, it's political. They wanted special treatment, and of course, some of the officials that back then would do. So I was able to get a full gamut of different things, and I said, some of the people, they respect you as a female as far as the citizen, and some didn't. Some of them wanted to try you, and then of course some of your peers as females. Then you had the females, of course. hey, they're looking to date you, or they're saying that we don't want to work with a female because you're a female. I'm not sure if it's still going on today, but when I was a supervisor before I retired, I didn't hear as much from the troop as I heard when I first came on, and in what I experienced myself. And the supervisors, they will give the females some assignments that they wouldn't give the males.
Right.
Some supervisors, they were old school, as we would say. They would say, hey, you're a female, so I want you to go sit on this prisoner and go to the hospital, or they'll give you something. And you kind of had to prove yourself. And I had to prove myself that I can, run with the best. So I did, of course, and I saw it different, but then I saw some of my other female partners or female officers where they just gave them the little, petty assignments, or they talked to them different ways. So yes, it was kind of tough coming up, and as a younger officer, and as I started moving up the ranks, then it became almost a crab in the barrel theory,
Oh,
because
really?
of course, it's more females. I'm sorry, it's more males and less females as supervisors. So everybody was trying to get, so they would, everybody was trying to get promoted or be seen or whatever else. So they would try to pull the others down to say, look at me, or, such and such. So I experienced a lot as a female on it. So it is difficult.
Yeah. What brought you into the profession to begin with?
Well, what brought me into the profession is, resilience. I had a dad that had a terrible accident while working on our family house, and it ended up causing him to be blind. But what Dad did, it didn't stop him from still being a man and taking care of his kids and utilizing what he had. And he showed that anything, whatever could happen, you can bounce back up. A lot of things can happen to you, but it's up to you to bounce back up. If you want to sit and, while I say, woe is me, and not do. But so I saw my dad do a lot of things that, unfortunately, some men don't step up, and they can, they can see they got all that. But Dad was able to really, really utilize his, utilize his capital, whatever he had, and still take care of his family and raise his kids. So that showed me that even though Dad didn't have his eyesight anymore, he still had his vision for his family. And so that told me that, hey, if he can do that, anything, if somebody's on drugs, if somebody's, being assaulted or went through something, or a car accident, they can get up. And so I always wanted to help people. I wanted to help people to see that you're not your circumstances. You can rise above your circumstances. So my goal was to be a social worker.
Okay.
I wanted to be a social worker right out of high school. I wanted to go into college, and I got accepted into college. But what happened was, right before it was time, so we graduate in May, June. So the college acceptance letter and everything, and then they send us one bill and say, you guys owe $2,000. So my dad was like, well, I'm already taking care of the family with, with my disability and this and that. So I can't, give you, that. So what ended up happening was, he told me to go get a good government job. And what I ended up doing is, right away, I was supposed to move into my dorm in August, and come to July, I was out looking for the job, because I knew he wasn't budging, and it was just too much for me to ask to go for him to pay and use his money where he had other children to take care. So short story is long. So I went, and I was able to my first interview, and it was with the Secret Service.
Oh, nice.
And my first interview I went to, they hired me on the spot. So I started working with the Secret Service, but I was still going to school part-time. So I started off at the community college, but I was still determined I was going to that 4-year school, that I was accepted anyway. So as I was going to school and working, I started to become really good friends with the agents, and I was working alongside with them. And I was like, oh, wow, this investigator stuff is pretty neat. And then I can investigate people who are involved in sexual crimes or homicide or whatever. And I said, oh, I like that. And with Secret Service, they didn't do that there. And I had a friend that actually went on the Metropolitan Police Department, and they said, "Hey, look, you don't need a degree to come over here. You can just come over here, you do patrol for a minute, and then you can get your way. Eventually you can work your way over to become an investigator." I was like, "Cool." So I go back to my agency after I take the test one Saturday morning, police test, and say, "Hey, look, I passed the test, and I'm going to be a police officer." And the agent was like, "No, you can stay here. We will accommodate you. You can go to school in the morning and come to work afterwards, or you can come in early and get off at 3 or 2:30, 3 o'clock, and you can go to school there." And I was like, "But that's going to take me forever to do it with a full-time job." So I eventually went on over to the police department, and of course, and that was it. And so that's how I got there, and I fell in love with law enforcement when I was working for one of the oldest law enforcement agencies in the country. So that's how I got there.
The rest is history. Yeah. So you're originally from DC, huh?
I'm from Maryland, but then I only live like 40 minutes outside of DC. Yes. So I'm originally from this area.
How do your family and friends feel about you going into law enforcement?
Oh, wow. I got a lot of backlash.
Yeah,
I got a lot of backlash from everybody. Even Dad gave me backlash. Like, "Wow, you sure you want to do that? Stay over here." And, and I was like, "Well, hey, that's you guys. This is where, my life." And I had the passion for helping people. And I knew that was never going to go away. The social work, and it's funny that I wanted to be a social worker, and then I ended up going over to the child abuse section where you dealt with a lot of social workers. And I watched them work grueling hours. They were underpaid. And I was like, wow. I said it all came around in full circle. So I was like, wow. And they were underpaid. They were tired. And a lot of them were, weren't happy, because of the way the circumstances. And I was like, okay, well, yeah. I was like, I'm in the right field. This is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. This is actually where I'm supposed to be.
It's ironic with all this, defunding the police stuff going on. They're talking about, sending social workers out to all these calls that usually the police get called out for, these supposedly nonviolent calls, with the homeless and mentally ill and all that. But, I don't know, sending the social worker out to a, naked man running around with a samurai sword out,
Exactly.
Hey, go ahead. If they want to handle that, go ahead. Right.
Exactly. And, and I see that twofold. And I keep referring back to the child abuse section when I worked in, because I see that where when I first got over there, and I was a sergeant by then, but my detectives would have to sit at the house. They were called for, maybe a teacher was sending a complaint that a child was being abused. So when a detective caught up with a child, of course, they were at home by that time because the teacher was sending it in. And sometimes they would be able to get it exactly where the kid was at school, but majority of the time, the child was at home. So they would call the police first. The police got there, and they would call a social worker. Then the social worker get there, and sometimes they would get there together. So eventually, when I first got there, the police would get there first, and they would call the social worker. And then it was a team where both of them got there at the same time. But they would have the police still sit there, with making sure the parent don't try to jump on the social worker and say, "No, you're not taking my child," or whatever. And then they got to a point where the police would still have to go with them to the hospital and sit around as the child being treated. And then the social worker eventually take them on with them, and they would go to either foster care or find suitable home for them until they can get everything situated. So the police did a whole lot. They've changed it from then in the late 90s, and it's changed a lot, but they still haven't got to where they need to be with that. Yep. But the police no longer have to sit around at the hospital. They no longer have to, stay, and let's make sure if nobody's in danger, then that's it. And like you said, with the naked man who's high on PCP and everything else, the mental health wise, yeah, of course you're going to need the police for that. But some things that they can do without the police being there. And it's a good thing for, some of the changes that they want to do is good for the police.
Yeah.
but they really have to really think some of this stuff through. And putting the social worker in the car with the police and riding around with them, and you and I both know
Well,
that's a no-go.
yeah, there's some departments. I think LAPD does that. We kind of do that some in our area. A lot of departments out here kind of have teams like that. They're not on every patrol team. There's like a special team that does that. But yeah, there some places are doing that.
Now, let me ask you a question. Are they in unmarked cars or in their marked
They're
cars?
still marked cars. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 With marked
And then
cars and uniform. My department, we have mental, social workers that come out after we call them, but they're actually housed in our department, and they have a radio and a call sign, and once we stabilize the situation, we'll call them out. They work for the county, these social workers, so and they'll come out, and because we got a lot of homeless, I'm sure you do in DC,
yes.
out here in SoCal, so. They got it, they come out and deal with the services, give them services and resources and all that type of stuff. So yeah, they're out here, they're working
And
already.
I can see that happening. And if they have their own cars and come out and you guys call them and you need them, you diffuse the situation. Yeah, that could happen. But having them to ride around in a car, and of course, people don't see. Okay, you got a civilian in the car with you, and if you run across something, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to take action,
Yep.
and that's the liability.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to look at it like I don't know if your department did ride-alongs, but
Yes,
with a ride-along,
exactly.
you tell them you stay here, let me go handle it, or
Right. And then even
Yeah.
with the ride along, it's certain calls that once the dispatcher know you have a ride along in, they're not going to give you the call,
Yeah, no
you
doubt.
know.
Get
But then
out,
you
get
can't
out. Have somebody come pick you up. Yeah.
but you know what, you can't you can't predict what you can run into,
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
because they see that beacon light and those colors and see that they're going to run. I'm quite sure they'll flag you down and say, help, I got such and such. I mean, I got this going on, or somebody's chasing me or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're gonna have to just take action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that'll be very interesting to see. It's just it amazes me that how when you make decisions or you say things like that, how you don't have people that do that, or have some people that's there that's been doing the job to help you along to say this is right and this is wrong, or you can't do that, so let's think this over before you even voice the stuff, and you get everybody on the bandwagon to say, oh, that's a good idea, that's a good idea.
Right.
They should do the closed doors and sit behind, and then have some of the experts in that actually have been there and know some of the things that could happen and how it could benefit and how it could not benefit and put people in further jeopardy.
Yeah, like I said, hopefully that's the course that we'll go down. Once everything calms down, everyone, takes a breath, and hopefully that'll happen. But right now, it's just crazy right now. So, what was kind of like the most gratifying part of your job when you were working on the department?
I think the most gratifying job was working with a lot of different great people. That was, great people who, had compassion to help people, and that was on the job that, for, like I say, their why was in line with the position. And they just wanted to learn and just do, what they came to do. That was the most gratifying, just meeting so many very nice people that said, hey, I'm with you, whatever you need me to do, or I'm here, and it's not about, the long hours, or I'm not complaining because, we've been here too long, or I want to go and do, or they're not being selfish and not looking about for just themselves. That was gratifying, just meeting some great people, so many great people.
Yeah. And what about now that you're retired? What's the most gratifying part of that?
That I can turn around and reach out and help, and that my reputation that I had on the department, that they still, they still look at to me, and they'll ask me questions or send me messages, or when I see them out, they, just remember how I benefit, or some of the things that I've told them, and it's been funny just to run into somebody and say, remember when you told me this and that? You know, you were right in that point, you know, and so that's gratifying for me. And it's just to see also some of those people that I said that were in line with the job, just watching them grow and just move up and do different things. That's been great.
Yeah, yeah. What about on the flip side? Back when you were working, what was one of the more challenging parts of the job?
The more challenging part was the undervaluing. You know, people who they were, as far as maybe some of the upper management, you know, they took the test, they became an official, but they didn't. It wasn't really something that they should have did. They should have learned the job a little bit more. So of course now they actually get the rank, the lieutenant or the captain or sometimes the commander, and they're wearing those bars and the eagles and whatever. It makes them. Okay. And they're not helping you, or they're not helping anyone. They're just barking down orders and doing different things. So they're pretty much managing and not being leaders.
Yeah.
And so that was, to me, that was, I had experiences with that where, of course, like I mentioned earlier, you can do the job well and run circles around them, but because they hold the title, they don't want to listen to you, or they undervalue you, and they'll say, and then of course some of them know you've done that, you know, like you've been in, just say you were a school resource officer. You've been in school, you dealt with the children, you know how to communicate with them. But then you get that official that comes in because the position was open, they get it as a sergeant or lieutenant, and they're telling you how to do things, and you know it's not going to work, but they don't want to hear your piece or what your advice to give them, or just they come together collectively, or they're not utilizing your skills because they don't want you to outshine them, or they don't want to look bad, or they don't want to bring you on and help you move up. So that was some of the dissatisfying, you know, some of the things that I kind of struggled with and didn't care for when I was there.
How about now that you're retired? What's the most challenging part of your day now?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yes. Kind of wake up when you want to.
Wake up when I want to, and you schedule things, and it be, you know, Dale, when I was about to retire, of course, throughout the years, I worked, like I told you, I worked for Secret Service. So I worked with them for 5 years. But I left my retirement there because when I went over, I was like, okay, let's do this. And if I don't, because the agents put that like, oh, you could always come back, you know, they almost, you know, waved me out, almost crying at the door for me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave this open. So I never took my retirement out of the federal government. So throughout the years, my plan was to go back and build on that retirement, you know, and go back into and just maybe get another retirement from them as well, which I still can, but even get more percentage from them and more, you know, put more into it. So 6 months before retiring, I was like, okay, so it's time for me to start putting back into, you know, positions into the federal government. So I did that probably my third, you know, when I got 3 months, because everything was like, oh, wow, I got 6 months. And before I know it was 3 months. That's why I always tell people when you start doing that countdown, which you hear often, when you start doing that countdown, that time goes by really quick. So, and if you look back now, if you've done 15 years or 17 years, you probably could remember, hey, when you only had 2 years on the job, and you blink your eye, now you got, and there's, of course, you even blink your eye more, you're going to be at your retirement point. Yep. So like I said, the 3 months came by quick. So I said, oh man, let me start putting in. So I put in, and then it, you know, felt like it went into a black hole. But finally I did get a federal agency to reach out to me. And I went in for the interview, and of course, everything was on my table. They hired me right on the spot. But I had to do a top secret background check. I mean, a top secret clearance. It was top secret clearance, so I had to do the background check. So I wasn't going to say, hey, I'm going to pull my papers back and I'm going to, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and retire when I'm supposed to. And I'll just, sit at home, chill and get things together and take care of stuff until the background's over. Well, they kept going on and I started to love, hey, I don't have to be up at 4 in the morning to get to the job at 6. Oh, I don't have to, work, the holidays because it's 4th of July and it's big detail. Oh, this is good. I mean, and I'm not being called, and I don't have to call anyone just to take leave and get on the airplane to go on a trip. I said, I think I kind of like this, and then my key too was I started to really feel that, oh, I'm not no longer in the office or no longer around people who don't want to be there. So I said, I can't even imagine myself going back to, even if it's, the federal government, going back into the office where I'm with someone who doesn't really want to be there. So they're complaining all the time about the job. And then they're sitting around not doing anything and I have to watch him or her, they're on the internet or doing whatever they're doing for a minute. And then they go do a little bit and then they go to lunch. And then, of course, they come back and do it and they complain. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to go be a part of that.
Right.
So what can I do? And I started thinking of all the skills that I had that I could really take and use. So that's when I went on into business. And I was like, you know what? And it's actually been pretty good, and that's where everything birthed out to what I'm doing now. So go back to your question. I am enjoying every minute of it, but I will not tell people don't, retire and say you're going to be at home, because everybody I know that retired saying, oh, I'm going to go and sit on a rocking chair and just rock and just watch the cars go up and down. That's not happening because we're all too young to be doing that. First of all, I watch, people who do all the projects they can around the house. They do everything, but now they're looking for a job. So what I say to people, prepare, for what you want to do while you're working. So when you come out and really figure out what you want to do, you take a deep dive in it. So when you come out, you can actually be ready to go into that, because just sitting there for that space, that 1 year, 2 years, I watch people who I never thought, and I'm just looking at them in amazement. Like, you're working again? You were the one saying, hey, I'm not going to work for nobody else. I'm not going to do anything else. And then, of course, retirement people don't understand your income's different. We have a very, very good retirement system with DC. So, but some people are only getting 50% of their income. Some people are getting 70. DC, you can get all the way up to 80% of your income. So you have to, you have to look at all those things. What's your retirement going to be like, and see if that's going to fit your lifestyle. And if it doesn't fit your lifestyle, you actually have to either start downsizing and changing your lifestyle, or you need to figure out what you're going to do afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt on that. Got to plan ahead, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing? What do you like to do now that you're retired? What sorts of things? You like to travel? You like to play golf, play tennis? What are you doing on your off time?
On my off time, I travel.
Do you have off time?
Oh, yeah, I have off time.
Okay.
I have off time.
Right.
I love to travel. So I travel a lot. Of course, with, COVID-19, it slowed a lot of things down. So I don't really see in us being able to go too many places until that vaccine comes out. So people are still traveling. I mean, I still have to go certain places, to out to the West Coast like you, because I have a son that's out there that, is going to school. So I still have to go a place like that. But that's the only thing I'll do if it's something that I have to do. As far as the vacation, I'll just stay local. I'll go somewhere where I'm driving. So I love to travel. And another thing I do, I like to exercise. So I'm a avid bike rider. I was running at one point, but my knees are deciding to say, oh, no.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, so my body's like, oh, no, I think you need to just go ahead and walk, those miles. So I make sure I get a couple miles in a day and I exercise. So I like that as well.
Good for you. Yeah, get those low impact exercises in.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, got to stay healthy and busy. Stay healthy and busy. All right. So, I appreciate you coming on and, having some fun and spitting some knowledges for us so that we all know we got to plan ahead and what we got to do to plan the future of our career and our life after our career. So appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
You have a website or something that the people can reach you at for your business?
Yes, I have. My website is liveproactively.com. So it's LIVEPROACTIVELY.com. Okay. And then I'm on Facebook by my name, Pamela Burkett-Jones. And then I'm on Instagram at Live Proactively. And of course, I don't have a problem with giving my telephone number is 240-682-1343.
All right. So somebody that's interested in your services, they can contact you there. Appreciate that. All right. So, but
thank you.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna let you go yet. I got a little game I like to play with my guests before I let them go. So let me get this set up with you.
Wait, hang on. I got another call. Who this? Oh, hi, Mama.
Who dis? What kind of way is that to answer the phone?
I'm sorry, Mama.
This game is called Who Dis?
Oh, okay, that is from Boys in the Hood, right?
Yeah. That's the name of the game. So here we go. Your category today is going to be Black political figures. Black political figures. I'm going to play a sound clip, and hopefully you can tell me who it is. All right. Easy enough. It won't be too tough. All right. I'm not going to give you any, city councilmen in Montana, nothing like that. These are going to be prominent black political figures. All right. So here's your first one.
Reagan won the last time, not by genius.
My favorite, Martin Luther
Reagan
King.
won when we were asleep.
You think that was Martin Luther King talking about Reagan?
No. Oh, okay.
No.
Let me see.
Reagan won the last time.
Oh, Jesse Jackson. Oh, okay.
Not by genius.
Oh, okay.
Reagan won.
Oops, can we edit this?
No, that's your first one. You missed that one. Off to a bad start, but we'll get you going there. Hopefully this next one will get you good here. So here's your next one right here. Check this one out.
I intend to fight for our students and invest in them and understand this is not about a cost, it's about an investment. We cannot let them graduate with debt.
Who do you think that is? Recent African American.
Oh, is it Kamala? Kamala Harris?
That is Kamala Harris.
I intend to fight for our students and invest in them and understand this is not about a cost, it's about an investment. We cannot let them graduate with debt.
All right, you 1 for 1. All right, so you got the hang of it now. All right, here's your next one. Figure number 3.
I am where I am today because the Army takes care of its own.
What do you think that is?
Oh, you gotta give me more. Oh my gosh.
That was it.
Wait a minute. Army takes care of its own. Oh gosh. Is that and Colin Powell?
Yeah, that would be Colin Powell.
I am where I am today because the Army takes care of its own.
Yeah. See, you remember because he said Army, right?
Yeah, because I didn't really think about it at first. I was like, okay, wait a minute.
There you go. So you got it. Here's your next one.
40 years of worshiping golden images
Al
the bling bling
Yeah,
in the wilderness.
I didn't even have to finish that one. That is
40
correct.
years of worshiping golden images, doing the bling bling in the wilderness.
Yeah, so you do that one. All right, here's your next one.
But perhaps most important, I think the declaration clearly shows that NATO intends to support the territorial integrity, independence, and sovereignty of Georgia.
Georgia is, wait a minute, okay.
Not the state of Georgia, because she was talking about NATO, so that's...
Okay.
Georgia
Okay, she's talking about the country. Okay, let me see. I don't know, and I'm going to be mad when you show me.
You want to take a stab at it?
No,
But perhaps most important, I think the declaration clearly shows
okay.
that NATO intends to support the territorial integrity, independence, and sovereignty of Georgia.
Yeah, Condoleezza Rice. Condoleezza Rice, yes. Hey, you in D.C., you should know that one.
Yeah, I should,
right.
but I was like, okay.
All right, here's your next one.
I stand here before you
not as a prophet.
Nelson Mandela.
That is Nelson Mandela. Yes, it is.
I stand here before you, not as a prophet, but as a humble servant.
All right, yeah, you got that one. Okay.
I hope there's a prize at the end. I mean,
yeah, so pride. That's your prize. Yeah. Here's your next one.
Yeah, today they say, if you are a conservative, then you are somehow an Uncle Tom. You're a horrible person. You're a demon. What a bunch of crap.
What do you think that is?
I can't get that one.
Black conservative.
I don't know. I can't get that one.
Yeah, today they say,
oh my God.
If
okay.
you are a conservative, then you are somehow an Uncle Tom. You're a horrible person. You're a demon. What a bunch of crap.
Did you recognize the voice after?
No. I didn't recognize his voice.
You should get. We got two more. You should be able to get these. Here's your next one here.
If you're tired of arguing with strangers on the internet,
oh come on, Barack Obama.
Try talking with one of them in real life.
Yes, that is.
If you're tired of arguing with strangers on the internet, try talking with one of them in real life.
All right, you got that one. Mm-hmm. And here is your last one. Here we go.
I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out. Yes, I'm black. I'm proud of it. I'm black and beautiful.
Martin Luther King, it is.
I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out. Yes, I'm black. I'm proud of it. I'm black and beautiful.
Yes. And I think you got more right than you got wrong, so we're going to call you the winner.
Thank goodness.
Yes, you got it. You got it. All right. Let me stop this here. And we're back.
Oh, right. All right. Yeah. That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah. So you got it. There was a couple there that stumped you, but you got it for the most part.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you for coming on. And it was fun. And we got some good information and some good information about you. So I thank you. And we'll talk soon. All right. Appreciate you.
We will. Thank you. Thank you. Now, what platforms are you on so I can listen to it? Because you didn't do this.
Yeah. The podcast is on all the major podcast platforms. That's Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, all of those. This version, the video version, is on YouTube, so you can check that out. And then
cool.
Yeah, and then so that'll be in a little while. And then of course, like we talked about earlier, we've got the live version, Black and Blue Live, that comes out. It's been coming out weekly now on the weekend, Saturdays or Sundays. This Sunday is going to be coming out. So yeah, I'm on all those mediums. So check it out.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Right. What makes you do this? That's what I want to ask you. What makes you
reverse the questioning here? Okay. I wanted to just show.
You're not still recording the show, are you?
I am.
Okay.
Yes. So let me answer this and then we'll hit stop there. But but I wanted to just show the people that law enforcement is a worthy career for those minorities that. For one, they're either indifferent or that don't, really don't have any love for the police. For law enforcement, they can see that, we are people just like them. And then maybe after seeing and hearing stuff like this, they can say, you know what, maybe I can do that. These people are just like me. They look just like me. They talk just like me. They like the same things I like. And, and if I don't want to go in the law enforcement, at least I got that understanding and we can be on the same level and talk. So that was my motivation to this.
That's good. That's good. And and I really think, and that's why I wanted to know where you were, where you do so I can play some of this for my students,
Yeah.
Because I think it would be great for them to see this and to really get to talk to officers and not just, encounter with them, send them on a ride along or go do a paper. They can actually talk to and heart to heart and hear what's going on. So this is good that you're doing this, and I really appreciate you for this.
Thank you. All right. All right, you be safe out there. COVID's not done yet, so wear your mask and wash your hands, all right?
Yes, of course.
All right. All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, that was a dope conversation I just had with retired DC Metro Police Captain Pamela Burkett-Jones. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure you go to the YouTube and smash that like button. And go to the major podcast platforms as well and do the same thing. My name is Dale. I'm the host of the Black and Blue Podcast. So till next time, y'all know what to do. Stay black in blue. I'll holla at you. Peace.
This has been a Maitre D Entertainment presentation.